Basket making is one of the significant contributions of Native American artists. Basket making is also one of the earliest art forms of North America. Some people actually say that it is the earliest, but we can't be sure. The reason we can't be sure is because the first baskets that were made have long since disappeared because the materials out of which these are created are fragile, and in a moist environment in particular, the baskets will not survive. We do have some early samples coming in more or less the earliest around 8000 BCE. These come from the desert Southwest. The University of Pennsylvania has one, not quite that old. It was created 1200 CE, making this particular creation over on the left of our screen roughly around 800 years old, which is not too shabby given that it was made originally out of plant materials, plant fibers. It is bilobed. There are two divisions at the base of this, and I would like to suggest that the weaving here of the basket is pretty darn sophisticated. It is clearly more than just a utilitarian object, although the University of Pennsylvania, and I would like you to know that that's where it's located. It's in our textbook figure 1.12, and that means it's in the introduction portion of the textbook. I think you can see the lines of the pattern of weaving moving along the base of this, almost creating like concentric circles or waves moving up into the body of the woven basket, evening out and then creating a register, which is pretty stable as a design element at the very, very top of this. Okay, a burden basket would be a basket that someone would have used to carry things. You could have taken it out to collect seeds, perhaps even to collect the materials for basket making. You could have collected wood. You could have collected from the garden and be bringing back squash or corn. There's a photograph by Edward Curtis again. This is a Pomo woman with a burden basket, and it's located right back here. It has a strap that's coming up and it's wrapping around the head of the woman. This is more or less traditionally the way burden baskets would have been used. The burden basket never is too big for the woman to handle, so that when your burden basket is filled, you're never going to be required to carry more than is inside your basket. The Work-It pen, figure 112 in our textbook, is from Ancestral Pueblo or Anasazi, and if you look at the pattern on the basket, you're going to recognize, maybe we go over here, some of our zigzag motifs that come in a kind of fret shape, and that should remind you of some of the designs that we actually saw on ancestral pottery from the desert Southwest. So there's a continuation between pottery and basket making. Our textbook has included baskets in the introduction under the question about really what is art. And the reason for that is baskets for a very long time have been categorized as craft, largely because they are utilitarian. We use them to serve a purpose, for example. The textbook author is basically arguing, no, these are actually art, and that the term art is an expanding term. And I think probably everybody here would agree with that. Today we could say that an artwork is something that's created for visual appeal. It can be beautiful, it can be ugly, but it will have an appeal to the observer. And that visual appeal is often added as an elaboration of the form itself, particularly if we're talking about a utilitarian object. It's not necessary, for example, to make the burden basket at Penn as beautiful as it is, but the artist chose to do that. And when the artist went to do that, the artist, presumably a woman, was showing her skill over the materials by managing them and directing them and shaping them. Creating a very controlled design. Here one that has repetition and rhythm and shared iconography or symbols. This strengthens the I'm going to say authority of the object, if it is used for ritual purposes or if it is used as a display, perhaps of the status of the owner. But the quality of design, of decoration, and workmanship all contribute to the impact that the object has on the viewer, on the observer. It does seem to be true that as soon as human beings became human beings, and I'm talking about a long time ago, Homo sapiens, even going back to the time we were decorating caves, we human beings seem to have a desire to create things and to make things that are embellished. We also seem to appreciate things that are original and well crafted. This is shared in Western aesthetics, and it's also shared in non-Western aesthetics. The ability for originality, the ability for good craftsmanship, and for a certain degree of control of design. In addition to that, specific to the Native Americans interpreting the aesthetics of their art objects, there's going to be an additional element that might not apply to us in the West, and that's going to be the ritual implications from the materials that are used. And I'd like you to think of the clay that we talked about for pottery, where the potters extract the clay from Mother Earth. They learn where to get clay from their own mothers, and they make offerings and prayers to Mother Earth. Something similar is going to apply for plant fibers, which also come from the earth. But in addition to that, the way that they are gathered is going to matter, because you have to be sure that you are taking but not too much and allowing for a sustainable gathering and a respect for the creations you get from Mother Earth. In addition to that, the source of the design for a Native American basket weaver may have significance, much beyond simply creating a design that a Western artist might do. For example, it might carry over from an ancestral design, so it might link you directly to your ancestors or to your people. It also might come to you in a dream or a vision, and this is still possible today in the 21st century. We know that it certainly was true for basket makers in the past. Often their basket designs were acquired through dreams or through visions. These designs become very personal and basically copyrighted. Nobody else could use your designs. For Native Americans also, if the basket that you create is used in a ritual or a public ceremony, then the basket is going to take on an enhanced meaning. All of the things that I've just mentioned are specific to Native Americans, everything in this last chunk of notations. And all of those enrich the meaning of an object as a work of art for the Native American community and for the Native American creators, above and beyond the way in which a Westerner might look at these objects as artworks. We should also note that, generally speaking, Native Americans did not have a word for art before the time of contact. It's the West that will develop that word and that concept after the Renaissance by elevating the creation of individuals, and often think hanging them on the wall or putting them on a pedestal, separating those objects from daily life. I think that perhaps the reason Native Americans do not have a specific term for art is because the objects they create and embellish remain firmly integrated with and intimately tied to daily life and the lives of the people who make them.